Hello again everyone, this is Santotaku with Team by the Trigger, bringing you another deck profile. This was Nameless's Dark Irregular deck. He's recently switched to Kagero because he's been having some issues with getting the deck to run correctly. So I've taken it upon myself to take a look at the deck and sort of mess with it. It was originally built as a Darkwing Reggie deck, but my gut instinct tells me that the deck just quite isn't ready to be Reggie focused. We're missing a few cards in the English only meta that really makes Reggie pop. So this is my take on a current Dark Irregulars deck, so I hope you enjoy. We're going to start from the bottom today. I'm going to go with Greedy Hand. This is the new starting Vanguard for Dark Irregulars. It is way better than Vermilion Gatekeeper. Mainly because I think that a clan really becomes viable when they get a Vanguard that can actually move to a rearguard circle. The flexibility of having this guy as a booster for a few turns while your hand is being built and you're able to fill your field is really good. And then as an additional ability, he can counterblast one, move into the soul, and then you can choose any card from your deck and put it into your soul. So he's going to give you the same net bonus as Vermilion Gatekeeper to your soul, but as an added effect, he can be a booster for a few turns. So really good, better run it. Probably even better than the guy who looks for grade 3, which is very rare for me to say because I like that series of starting Vanguards. But Greedy Hand. Triggers, we got 4 draws. Draw trigger is huge. This is going to be getting replaced with the Hysteric something or other out of set 4. It's a 4K draw trigger. As a soul charge, it can soul charge another card out of your deck, so that's pretty huge for Irregulars. 4 crit, move into the soul, gain power, something like that. It's a crit. 4 vanilla crit. 4 Cheshire Cat, because it's cooler than the other one, I guess. Grade 1s, 4 of the Midnight Bike of the Witching Hour. What these guys do is for every copy of them you have in the soul, they gain 2,000 power. So this is a card that can be a 10k or 12k booster, even though its base stat is only 6k. So what you really want is 2 in the soul and then 2 as rearguard boosters, because then 2 of your units get a 10k boost, which is pretty nice. Not going to do you much good if there's only 1 in the soul, because then it's just the generic 8k, but what it comes down to in the long run is that it is a solid booster at any level, 6, 8, 10, or 12k. And at 12k it actually makes a good attacker, to be honest, so that's something to think about. But 4 copies of it is pretty essential. I thought about Amon, but the ability to hit 10k is just really too attractive to miss. And of course this combos off of Greedy Hand if you need 1 more in the soul. Moving on, 3 copies of Yellow Bolt. He can rest to soul charge 1 card. Random soul charges are the bread and butter of Dark Irregulars. What you want to do is put this behind a guy who doesn't need a booster. So, like your Vanguard. Your Vanguard probably hit your opponent's Vanguard without a booster pretty easily, and still force guards. So you'll park it somewhere, you'll soul charge, and you'll do that until you're happy with what you're at. This is great behind Amon, which is one of the key cards in this deck. So, yeah, Yellow Bolt, good. 4 Alluring Succubus. When it comes into play, you soul charge randomly. I'm running 4 of these instead of 4 Yellow Bolts because this soul charges once and then it's a booster, so it is infinitely better. So, great stuff. And then there's another Succubus that when it hits a Vanguard, you get to soul charge 1. I think Yellow Bolt and this are both, again, infinitely better because you're only going to hit the Vanguard like 6 times a game, 4 times a game. So you're not going to get that many soul charges out of it. With Yellow Bolt, you can control it. With this one, you can control it. I want control of my cards. So, 4 March Hares of Midnight Land or Nightmare Land, whatever it is. It's a perfect card. Gotta run 4. Grade 2, 3 Emblem Masters. Counterblast 1 to Soul Charge 3. I'd like it more if my opponent didn't block it every time. That's really what it is. I mean, it's like Vivian. Your opponent knows what it does, so they have to block it because it's the center of your deck, right? But it's only a Counterblast 1, and it's a 9k, so any of the boosters in the deck will get it up to at least the 15k mark, and it can get up to the 19k mark with the Midnight Bike, or possibly the 21k if you have all 3 in the soul. So really solid, it makes a decent, it's your second best turn 2 ride. And yeah, Soul Charge 3. It's random Soul Charge essential. Next up is 3 Flirtatious Succubus. When it comes into play, you get to Soul Charge a random card. So you may be sensing a theme with this deck, random Soul Charging, something like that. I would run 4, but we only have the 3 at the moment. So. Next up is 4 copies of Decadent Succubus. This is your ideal turn 2 ride. Every time you play a card while this is your Vanguard, you get to Soul Charge 1 card. So you want to play this as your Vanguard and start dropping your Flirtatious Succubuses and your Decadent Succubuses, your extra ones, and your Alluring Succubuses, and you just get a giant soul, which is what Dark Irregulars is all about. It doesn't do anything from Rearguard, unfortunately. I'm probably going to take one of these out for another Flirtatious, but I think 3 is still important because you want this to be your turn 2 ride. That's its only purpose in the deck. If you cut it down to 2, you might as well remove the other 2 as well, and I think it's just too big of a card. Moving on to Grade 3, 2 copies of Reggie. Only 2 because, like I said, the deck isn't focused on it. Or this deck isn't. I just don't think, in the playtesting, it hasn't gotten to 15 soul very easily. It's taken all game, and it just takes way too long to pull off the effect, and even then it's still a 10k attacker unless you have the Midnight Bike behind it. So this is going to be the type of card that you'll hold on to until the right moment. If you get it, great. If not, it's a 10k attacker. That's really the point in this deck. It also sets up, if you ride it first, you can choose one of your other cards and you get to Soul Charge more copies of it from your deck. So if this is your first Grade 3 ride, that's pretty awesome. You can choose your Midnight Bike and get other copies of it out of your deck and into your soul. So that's pretty awesome. And then if you get 15, he's 3 crit. So cool. But not the focus. 2 copies of Dark Lord at the Abyss. Also not the focus. But he's an 11k, which makes him a decent rearguard, and with the Midnight Bike, he's a 21k in the rearguard position, so that's pretty good. His effect allows you to Counterblast 2 and Soul Charge 2. The Soul Charge is really important there, and then he gains 1000 power for every card in the Soul. So since this deck isn't very Counterblast heavy, you're going to want to do this effect just so you can Soul Charge, and then he'll be huge for a turn. So it's going to force your opponent to really blow their perfect guards, especially when they're at 4 damage. Because they're not really going to have enough 10k shields to block it regularly. So you're just going to create a 40k column with this guy and have fun. And both Reggie and Dark Lord of the Abyss are just there to set up for Demon World Marquis Amon. So he's only a 10k, but as a continuous effect, he gains 1000 power for every Dark Irregular in the Soul. So that's kind of huge. This is your ideal Vanguard. He doesn't need a booster behind him, which is pretty key, because he can hit the 16k mark pretty easily, the 20k mark pretty easily. If he hits the 25k mark, you're ready for Reggie. And at 25k, you're going to force huge cards out of their hand. So you're just going to keep swinging at them, and then you get Reggie and you ride Reggie, and your opponent's out of perfect guards. And now Reggie's a 3 crit attacker coming at them, and they got to use cards that may not, they may not have enough to guard against Reggie because they've been dealing with Amon all game. So this guy is really the key, I think, right now, with all the random soul chargings they have, but the lack of soul conductors and hysteric Nancy's or whatever that card is. I think this is the perfect Vanguard for Dark Irregulars at the moment. So let me know what you guys think. This is my build. If you guys have your own, feel free to leave it below, and I will take a look at that. I'm testing out some different things with this deck, so I would definitely love to hear your input. Thanks again for watching.